Hi everybody, greetings from Shiksha Online. I am Abhilasha Sharma, your host for today. And today we have Ayush Sharma, SDET at Info at Zwayam. So, who also has an experience as a full stack web developer and an Android developer. And he will be addressing
Yeah,
this
so I think
session
we will start now.
about Beginner's
Hi
Guide to
everybody,
Java.
greetings from Shiksha Online. I am Abhilasha Sharma.
All right. So, today I will be addressing this session about a beginner's guide to Java, and now Ayush will take it over from here. Whatever questions and doubts arise in middle of the session, you can write it all down in the chat box so that I can tell it all to the speaker and he can address it at the same time. So Ayush, you can take over from here,
Yeah,
and you can
hi
start
everyone.
by giving a little introduction of yourself as well.
Hi everyone. Thanks Abhilasha for the opportunity. And myself Ayush, and I've been working in Zoyam, which is a subsidiary of InfoEdge from the past 1 year as a SDET, which is Software Development Engineering Testing. Today's session will be on Beginner's Guide to Java. And yeah, just a second, I'll share my screen. Uh, Abhilasha, can you confirm my screen is visible or not?
Yeah, your screen is visible. Yeah.
So yeah, I have few code examples as well for today's session. So we'll just start with the session. Whatever doubts you have, just ping in the chat box and we'll get it addressed. So agendas for today's webinar is introduction to Java. We'll get to know what Java is. Basically, it's one of the many programming languages that are available for software developers and everyone. We'll get to know the basics of Java, what is object-oriented programming language, what are the core Java APIs which are provided by Java SDK, frameworks and libraries, build tools, and at last we'll have a Q&A session as well. So, is anyone here aware of Java, what Java is, how Java came up, what's the history of Java? You can drop in the chat box.
I think what I am aware as a beginner about Java, and which I think all the other people might be aware of, that it is a programming language. If you are starting it off as a beginner level, and you can make codes using it, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you are almost right there.
Yeah.
So Java was developed by Sun Microsystems back in 1980s. I'm not sure about the year. And then it was occupied by Oracle Corporation. Everyone knows about Oracle right now. Uh, we are not much happy with the history, so we'll just dive down directly to the importance and key features of why we should use Java. So when I entered my college, I was pretty much confused which language should I choose out, whether C++ or Java. Everyone have their own beliefs. So why Java is better over other languages is, first of all, it's an object-oriented programming language. We'll come to this topic in the second session. In the meanwhile, uh, second key feature of Java is a platform independent. So you don't need specific platform to run Java applications. You just need a JVM, which is Java Virtual Machine, which gets pre-installed when you install a Java JDK, and that JVM converts your high-level code to bytecode, which is understandable by your machine. So it is platform independent. Then the other key feature is similar. It's very similar to other programming languages like C++, C, Python, everything. Uh, the most the main feature why Java is used is it's a very secure language. So it protects your software from malicious activities. It's very robust. It's whenever you develop anything in Java, it's very scalable. So it's a very robust. And why it is very robust, because whenever you run a Java application, it runs on multi threads. So it does not run on a single thread. Your processes get executed at the same time over multiple threads. That's why it's very scalable and robust. So we'll come to Java basics. So if you want to write any program in Java, First of all, you need to have Java JDK installed on your machine. So you can directly go to the Oracle website. There you can, or simply you can Google Java JDK install for whichever platform you're using, Windows, Mac, or Linux. Install that Java JDK. Using the with the Java JDK, you will get Java JRE as well as Java JVM, which is Java Virtual Machine and Java Runtime Environment. So if you want to develop Java applications, you need JDK. If you just want to run your Java applications, you need JRE, which comes directly with the Java JDK. Uh, and You need a IDE to write Java codes. So we'll start with, I have already installed Java JDK and JVM in my machine, and this is the Eclipse is the IDE I'll be using today. And I'll just start with a normal, Java program which everyone runs in, which everyone writes for the first time, that is Hello World application. So whenever you open a Eclipse, you land on a similar page. Not such similar because I have my projects app open, but you can directly click on File, New, and create a new Java project from here. Just give a project name. So I'll give Hello World, and just finish. So it will create a Java project for you, and this is the basic hierarchy in which a Java project is created. So under the source main folder, you can create classes and packages and classes. We'll come to packages and classes in a meanwhile. It's a part of oops. So I'll just create a simple Java project. I'll create a Java class. Whatever code we write in Java, it's written under a class. So we'll give a name to a Java class, Hello World, and classes name should start with the capital alphabets, not with the small one. That's the basic syntax Java follows. So it will create a public class for you, and under the package of Hello World. In a single class, there can only be a single public class. You can have multiple classes in a single Java file, but only one of them should be public. Otherwise, it will throw you an error. So, public static void main string args. So whenever a Java application is run, the first method which gets called is the main method. And under this, you can write your Java programs. So since we are writing a simple Java programs which print hello world in the output, to do this, to print anything in the console, the keyword which we use is system.out.println. To write that keyword, there is a shortcut in Eclipse. Just type syso and hit Control plus tab. Control plus spacebar. So you'll get an suggestion here, and then you can write whatever you want to print in the codes. Save this program. Right click, run as, and Java application. So it prints a hello world. So congrats everyone, we just wrote our first program in Java without having much knowledge about Java. We'll come to the basic syntax and everything in a meanwhile. This was just to make you know how to install Java and run a simple program on your local machine. Coming back, Java syntax and structures. So Java syntax. Basically, Java programs are written in the form of classes. These classes are contained in packages. You can take packages as folders on your local system. For example, you have a folder A under which you can store multiple files. Similarly, in Java, we'll have packages under which we can store multiple classes or multiple Java files. Each Java file have an extension .java. Then only the compiler will interpret that it is a Java file. So I have a small project already created for it for the sake of time. Yeah, access modifiers. So we'll start with access modifiers first. Uh, these, as I told, we have folders in our local machines. Similarly, we have packages in our Java. So these packages are simply not folders. We can have multiple functionalities using these packages. So suppose you have a file in a particular package A, and you want to restrict that file to be accessed by another folder or another package. So you can, in that case, you can use multiple access modifiers. Access modifiers is our what access modifiers are. You can restrict access to different packages or different classes using those keywords. So basically, we have three types of access modifiers. Sorry, four types. First one is the default one, then protected, private, and public. So similar in the same way, I've created a new Java project access modifiers, and I have two packages here: access modifiers and the main package. In access modifier package, I have a person class which I have created. So now we'll come to the topic of classes and objects. Since I told in the starting that Java is an object-oriented programming language, what do you mean by object-oriented? So in the real world, if you take examples, you have multiple entities. For example, humans. Humans are objects. All humans are of the same type. Everyone have two eyes, two ears, one nose, 32 teeth, one two eyebrows, hairs, everything. So it's a kind of blueprint that a human follows. Similarly, if we have some entity which we want to code, for example, a remote, we want to implement a functionality of remote in Java. So remote will have common functionality. If you click on the power on button, it should turn on the device. If you click on power off button, it should turn off the device. And it will have multiple buttons from 1 to 9, navigate forward, navigate backwards. There will be so many common functionalities in a remote. So why should we write code again and again for different remote companies? Because every remote will have a similar set of functionalities. So this can be covered using classes.
All right,
So
I'm sorry to cut you in between, Ayush. I think someone just dropped a message in the chat box that they are unable to hear your voice right now.
is
Yeah,
it audible now?
just let me check.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she says it's audible.
So can you
Right.
please let me know till where you are able to hear me? I'll continue from that point.
Yeah, can you please let us know from where do you want us to continue so that we can move further? I think you can start. Yeah, she's saying continue. She can hear you now. I think the last topic you just started, you can continue from there.
Okay, then I'll continue with the classes and objects.
Yeah.
So I was given an example of remote. So different companies have different remotes, but the basic functionality of all the remotes are same. So why should we write code again and again to implement the functionalities of remote? We can create a simple blueprint and then use that blueprint to create remotes of different companies. So that blueprint is called as class, and the remotes are called as objects. Uh, Similarly, I've created a class person. So person will have a name, age, and address. Okay, and each person will have these at least these three attributes, and we can create multiple persons using this person class. For example, I can create a person Ayush. I can create a person Raj. I can create a person anything you want, whatever name you want to give. These are the three attributes. You can add as many attributes as you want. Now, there is something called as constructor. So when you create a person, I mean a particular object, you need to define what the name of the object should be, what the age of that object should be, and what should be the address of that person. So, in order to give all these attributes at the runtime or at the time of creating an object, we use a constructor. There are many types of constructor. So this one is parameterized constructor, in which we define while we create an object. You at the time of creating only we define what should be the name, what should be the age, and what should be the address. And these three values which we give will be stored in these three parameters only at the time of creation. There are other methods also of creating an object. Once I'll just come to that in a meanwhile. So after that we have getters and setters for the attributes whatever we have in our classes. So to get the name, we have get name, and it will return the name of the person. To similarly, we can have set name, set age, set address, get address. Everything we can have. Uh, Now coming to the access modifiers, which were the main topic: private, protected, and public. So the use of packages, when you make any of the attribute as public, it can be accessed anywhere. Anywhere by mean so can be accessed anywhere, even in the other packages. So if you have a package A and you have a package B, and you have some Java files in package A and some Java files in package B, and you have created some class in package A with the attribute, for example, X. This attribute, if you have made it public, you can access it anywhere, even in the package B and anywhere in the package A also. Similarly, protected means this can be accessed within the class in which you have made the attribute and the subclasses which extends that class. I'll come to this in a meanwhile. And the third one is private. Private means it can be accessed only in the class in which you have made the attribute. So, for example, we'll take example of a car. Car, uh, you have car is an concept. If you go to some showroom, you just say you want a car, but the next question will be which brand car you want, or what all the features you want in a car. So car is just a concept. You can make a class. Car will have common functionalities like four wheels, four doors, or maybe two doors, one steering, uh, one engine. That's all. So car class will contains all these attributes. Now, if BMW wants to make a car, and they want to implement a particular functionality. For example, they want a sunroof in their car. So they can extend all these basic functionalities from the car class, and they can implement their extra functionalities in the BMW class. So in this way, they are extending the main class, which is car, and they are implementing all the basic functionality, and they are implementing the other functionalities in the BMW class. Similarly, when I say the classes which will be extending the person class can access this protected attribute also. So here person can be anyone. It can be an employee. It can be a guard. It can be a cook. It can be anything. A person can do many works at a time. So but employee, guard, cook, everyone have these three attributes, that is name, age, and address, because they are person overall. So this employee class will extend person class. Now this employee will have all three attributes which are defined in the person class, as well as if we want to add some additional attributes. For example, here we are defining employee ID, because employees will have employee ID, so we can implement that in the employee class specifically. Since we have used this protected keyword here, so in the employee class we can access this age attribute. But if we have made it private, we cannot access that age attribute in the employee class. So for example, if I make it private and go to employee class and just try to um, avoid get age, return, just a second. Employee.class dot. See, I'm not able to access that particular identifier here because that I've made it as private. So that can be accessed only within the person class now, not in the child classes which are extended to a particular class. I'll make it back to protected. Uh, Next, we have, so that's the use of protected keyword. Public can be accessed anywhere in the same package as well as in the other packages. So I have other package that is named as main, and I have a class main. So if I go to the main class, which is in other package that is main, uh, and I want to create a person at that in that particular class. Person, you can give whatever name you want. That is John Doe. Age is 30, and the address I've given 123 Main Street. So this is how a person is made at that runtime using this constructor. So you are defining all the three attributes in the same order which you have mentioned here. First is name, then age, and then address. And if you want to access the person display public info, this function, if you hold on your control key and click on this function, you land it here. And this, since this function is public, you'll be able to access it across the packages. So I'm able to access it in the other package as well. Till now, any doubts or yeah, see this particular function, this is protected. So this can be accessed only in the child class, which is employee class. This cannot be accessed across the packages. So I'm getting an error which is stating change visibility of this particular method to public. If I change this visibility to public, then this error will be gone. So this is how access modifiers work. This is how packages works in Java, which are in lame language folders, directories which we have in local system, but they have many other functionalities when it comes to when we are able to use access modifiers. Till now, any doubts or should I continue with the topics?
Do anyone has any question? No, I don't think they have any doubts. We can continue.
Okay. So basic Java syntax and structure we have already seen. We'll come to the data types now. So what are data types? What are variables and operators? So variables, as the name states, variables which can have variable values, right?
Yeah,
So
1 second, Ayush. I think one of our attendee may have. Yeah, so
sorry,
she is asking that may I know which editor are used in JS?
sorry.
She's asking that which editor are used in JS?
So there are multiple editors you can use. There is no restriction of particular language when it comes to editor. Eclipse is mainly for Java, but if you want to use program in JS, you can use VS Code. It's VS Code. Uh, can I continue now?
Yeah, I think you can continue.
Okay, thanks. So variables. So variables are the names which we give to the values which we want to store in a particular program. For example, I want to store a value of an integer 32, for example. I should give a name so that when I want to access that value back from the memory will find out the name where it is stored and it will get it back. It's similar to we as humans have address. So if you want someone to access our home, we need to give them address, right? Our address will be defined in a form of a sentence. Similarly, if you want to access anything which you have stored in a memory, it will be stored with the name of variables. And if you want to access it back, you should give the variable's name. Uh, the other topic is data types. So variables are used to store data, right? But we have various type of data when it comes to Java. So whether it can be a string, it can be a character. String means sentence. It can be a character. It can be a integer. It can be a decimal value. It can be a negative value. It can be a very long value. So based on the data you want to store, we have different data types, and basically all the data types are classified into two classes, two groups, which are primitive data types and non-primitive data types, which are called as reference data types also. So in the primitive data types, we have byte, that is a 8-bit integer range. I mean, it's a 8-bit integer value. Then we have short, we have int to store the normal integers. We have long. Long is to store very long values. It's same to integer, but the range it's very large as compared to integer. Then we have float to store decimal values. We have double to store decimal values, but in a bigger range. We have character to store single characters, and then we have booleans to store boolean values, that is true or false. Then it comes when we come to non-primitive data types, we have three types of data types that are objects. Objects, whatever we have created using classes. Classes are the blueprints, and we can create multiple objects using those classes. Then we have arrays. Arrays are used to store similar type of data in a continuous memory allocation. For example, if you have scores of a particular student in your class. You don't want to distribute all the subject scores into different locations in the memory. You want it to be in a single at a particular location which is continuous so that you can access it fastly. So here we can use arrays. In arrays, we can store a particular data type in a continuous memory location, and it speeds up the insertion and retrieval of the data. And then we have strings. So in characters, which is a primitive data type, we just store a single characters. But in strings, we can store a sequence of characters that are sentences. So now, since we have discussed what are variables, we'll come directly to the operators. We have multiple types of operators. Operators, what do you mean by? I mean, whenever you get to hear a term operator, what do you mean generally by operator? So that operates on various values, whether it can be a single value, double value, multiple values, but it performs some functions or operations on the particular values. So we have multiple types of operators. First one is the arithmetic operator, that are basically the math operators, plus, minus. If you want to find the remainder, if you want to find the division, I mean the quotient, if you want to multiply two values. So in this case, we use the arithmetic operators. For example, if we here int is the data type, that is integer, and x is the variable name which we have given to this integer. We have stored x6 in the value of x. So whenever we want to retrieve this value from the memory, we'll just type print x. So it will now print whatever value is stored in the particular x variable. Uh, these are the arithmetic operators. Then comes the unary operators. These operators, rather than operating on multiple values, these operates on a single value. For example, unary plus, unary minus, increment operators, decrement operators. So if you want, I'll just give an example. If you want to increase the value of x after printing it, so you will just write x plus plus. So what this will do is, first it will print the value of x, then it will increment the value of x by 1. This is unary increment operator. Similarly, we have unary decrement operator, that is x minus minus. Firstly, it will print the value of x, then it will decrease the value of x by 1. This is post unary operators. We have pre-unary operators as well, that is plus plus x. It will increase the value of x, then it will print it. And similarly, minus minus x, it will decrease the value of x by 1, and then it will print it. Then we have relational operators. Relational operators are to establish relation between two values. So whether a particular value is greater than another value, whether a particular value is less than other value, a particular value is equals to other values. These are the kind of relational operators we have. Then we have logical operators. In electronics, you might have studied about logic gates, right? So we have multiple kind of gate: AND gate, OR gate, XOR gate, NOT gate. So that's how logical operator works. So if these operators also perform actions on multiple values, not on a single value. So if you want to find out whether two conditions are correct or not, you will use AND operators, because AND will give output as one only in case when both the values are one. So for example, you will just define boolean a equals to true and boolean b equals to false, and if a and b, in this case print true or else print. So what we are doing here is we are checking if both the values are true or not. If both the values are true, just print true or else print false. This is how really, I mean, logical operators works. Similarly, we have OR operator. So if any one of the values is true, it will throw output as true, or else it will throw output as false. And then we have NOT operator, which will negate the value. If you have a true value, it will make it false, and if you have a false value, it will make it true. Then coming to the bitwise operators. So bitwise operators might operate on a single value. It might operate on multiple values. For example, we have defined the value of x as 6 and the value of y as 3. Now, what we are doing is x and y. So if we write 6 in binary, it will be 0 1 1 0, right? And if we write y in binary, it will be 0 0 1 1. So if you do an AND operation on both these binary values, 0 1 will be 0, 1 1 will be 1, 1 0 will be 0, and 0 0 will be 0. So it will be 0 0 1 0, which is equals to 2. So if you do an AND operation on x and y, you will get output as 2. If you do an OR operation on x and y, you will similarly XOR operation, NOT operation. Then comes the left shift operation. So if you perform a left shift operation on any of the variables, for example, we have a value of 0 1 1 0. So in this case, it will shift all the values one places to the left side. So it will become 1 1 0 0, and 1 1 0 is equal to 12. Similarly, if you perform a right shift operation, it will shift all the values by one to the right. So the value of x will become 0 0 1 1, that is equals to 3. So if you run this program now, see, so x and y will give 2, x or y will give 7, x or y will give 5, negation of x will give -7, x when left shifted by 1 will give 12, x when right shifted by 1 will give 3. So these were the bitwise operators. And then there is one more kind of operator, that is conditional operator. So it's a short form of writing if and else condition. So I'll just show you. Previously we wrote if A and B, if A or B, then print true or else print false. So this is a bigger way of writing. Similarly, we can write, I'll give it string of example equals to A and B. So if this statement is true, what do you want to return? We want to return true. Else, what do you want to return? We want to return false. So if you now print the value of example, I'll just comment this out. See, we are getting false because one of those two values is false. If we make it true, we'll get true. So these were the operators in Java. Now the next topic is oops. Uh, if we want to reuse our codes, what is the best way? We should follow a particular format. We should follow a particular framework in which the files are reusable, right? So similarly, in the starting, I gave you an example. If you want to make a person object, and each person will have some common attributes, so you will have multiple. You in order, if you don't use the oops concept, you will create multiple strings with the name of different persons, multiple strings with their ages, multiple strings with their addresses. So in this case, you'll reuse you're not reusing the code, you're writing the code again and again, which is a wrong approach. So object oriented programming language resolves all these issues uh, by converting our code into classes and objects. We have already discussed what classes and objects are. So there are basically four pillars of OOPS on which OOPS works. These are encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. So we'll directly jump on to the encapsulation one. Encapsulation. So if you have a class in capsule, what is a capsule? It will have particular set of medicines under its shell. It will work only for a particular disease, not for all the kind of diseases, right? Same way encapsulation works. So if you have a class which have attributes and methods, you will bind everything which will work on those attributes in a single class. You will not make it distributed. For example, a person. A person can either walk, talk, eat, code, sleep. So these are all the functions which a person can perform. So we'll write every of these functions in the person class itself and not writing it somewhere else. Uh, so we have made a person class, and it has two attributes: string, that is name, and integer, its age. So if you want to get the value of name, we have written a function that is get name. It will return the name. And if you want to set the name, we have set name. So this will set the name of this particular function. Similarly, get age and set age. Now, of this person class, we have made an object. The name of that object is person, and this is object. Now, using this object, we can set the name of this person. That is person dot set name. We can set the age of this person. That is person dot set age. Now, when we were seeing the person class which I implemented previously, we have a constructor. The use of that constructor was while creating an object itself, we can define the attributes of that object. So we used to do like name is Ayush and age is 30. But since we have not defined any constructor here, we have to do it explicitly using the functions which we have provided. Encapsulation basically means we have all the functions or methods which works on the attributes of a particular class encoded and that class and that particular class only. You are not writing it somewhere else. Then comes the inheritance. So previously I gave the example of a car. When you have a car is just a concept, and BMW will have the same features what a car have. Audi will have the same features what a basic car have. On top of that, they can implement their particular functionalities, right? So that's how inheritance work. So you don't write the basic functionalities again and again. You just inherit it from their parent class and you just reuse them. For example, we have a animal class. So what animal can do is animal can eat, animal can walk, animal can also sleep, and we have a particular type of animal that is dog, right? So we are just extending this animal class. Now we are not writing eat function here because since dog is an animal, it will eat. and we have already implemented the read function in the super class. So what we are doing is we are now creating a dog object, and s- you can see here we have not written any eat function in the dog class. Still we are able to access that function because we have extended dog class, extended the animal class to the dog class, and and animal class have eat function implemented. So we can use that eat function from the animal class, and we can write our own customized function, that is bark, since every animal cannot bark. So in that particular dog class, similarly, if there is particular function that is related to dog, we can write it here, and all the basic functionalities we can implement, we can extend from the animal class, that is the parent class. This is how inheritance work. Then coming to the polymorphism. So if you hear a word poly means many, right? So polymorphism is many forms of a particular function or a particular attribute. So if you see here, we have a class math operation, and we have implemented a simple function, that is add function. So it will take two parameters, that is a and b, and it will simply add both of these parameters. Now we have implemented the same add function, so it should have given an error, right? So if I change the return type back to int, it will give an error because we have already implemented the same function in the same class with the same name. But in this function, we have changed the parameter type. Here it is int, here it is double. So here it is int and here it is double. So you can make various function with the same name but with different parameters. This is called as method overloading. In method overloading, there will be same name as I told. The parameters will be different, and it can be under the same class. Now if you give, I mean, just a second. So now if you make an object of this math class, and if you just using this object you want to access these two functions, you write operation dot add. If you give an integer, it will call this particular integer because you have given integers as the parameters. If you write double, if you give some double value, it will call this double wala function. So this is runtime compile time polymorphism. So on the time of compilation only, the program will get to know is which particular function do we need to call. Similarly, we have runtime polymorphism. So we have a parent class, that is car class, and we have a function implemented, that is starting. The car is starting, and this particular class is extending the car class, that is BMW is extending the car class. We are overriding this particular starting function in the subclass. So we are what we are doing is we have a function starting, and we are again rewriting that function in the child class. Now if we make an object of this child class and call the starting function, it will first find that whether this particular child class does that particular child class have this particular function or not. If not, it will go to the parent class. But since this child class have this particular function, it will call this function from here only, and it will not go to the child parent class. So if you click here on starting, it's coming here. Yeah, but if you run it, see it's printing BMW is starting. Since we have made an object of this child class and we have overwritten the method, it will call this method. If we remove this method here, it will go to the parent class and will call this method. So if I just comment it out, save it, and now it is showing car is starting. Since it was not able to find this particular method in the child class, it went to the parent class and just executed that method. So this is polymorphism. Then abstraction. So in abstraction, how abstraction works? What do you mean by abstraction? So abstraction basically means hiding all the complexities
Yeah,
that use.
Ayush, one of the attendee has a question. Should I
Yeah,
put it up?
yeah, sure.
There is some noise from inside.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse. Yeah, so a user also asked that what can we make apps using Java coding language, and if we can make these apps, then what are the apps that can be made?
So there is no restriction of making applications using Java. Uh, it's all about, I mean, whatever app you want to make, Java is open for it. And nowadays, mostly it is Kotlin which is used to make apps, and Java is used to make the web apps, that is web applications. But if you want to make Android apps using Java, you can go for it. Even in my second and third year of college, I've made several apps, and there is no restriction on whatever kind of apps you want to make. You can.
Right, you can continue.
Thanks. So, where was I? Abstraction classes, yeah. So abstraction means basically hiding all the complexities from the end user. So if I want, if I ask you to turn off a TV, what you'll do? You'll just go pick up the remote and click on the, I mean, press the turn off button. Now, do you want to know what basically happened when you press the turn off button? No, right? So the end user is just focus on how it, what function it is providing, not how it is functioning. So that's what abstraction helps us to do. So to explain this better, we have an abstract class that is shape. Now, shape again, shape is just a concept. It's not an real world entity. We have different types of shapes like circle, square, rectangle, pyramid, and so on. So these are entities, but shape is just a concept. It's not a entity or real world object. So we just make a shape class, and we have written a draw method. If you make it abstract, and if you try to implement the functionality of this method, it will throw you an error. Why? It is showing that abstract method do not specify a body, because shape cannot be drawn until and unless it is mentioned what kind of shape do you want to draw, right? So if you now extend this shape class to a circle class, and you this implement this draw method, it will, if you don't implement this draw method, it will throw you an error, because you have extended the class, and you have extended an abstract class. You have to implement whatever functions that are written in the abstract class. So in circle, you can, I mean, now I've told you have to draw a circle, you can directly draw a circle. Similarly, if you want, if you are extending a square, I mean, you are extending shape class to the square class, and then you know you have to draw a square, so you can draw a square. So the end user will simply know it's a shape. When they try to draw it, they can extend it to the particular shape which wants to be drawn, and you can draw it in that way. In this way, we are hiding the implementation part from the user, and they are just making use of the functionalities. So this is all about polymorphism. I mean, oops. I know it's difficult to grasp in a single go because it's a huge topic, but I'm just trying to make it as simple as I can. Next one is the core Java APIs. We are, I guess, we are running short on time, so I'll just make it a bit faster. Core Java APIs. So these are the APIs. First of all, APIs. APIs. What are APIs? So APIs are used to communicate between different services. For example, a web application and a database, or between two web applications, or a cloud application and a web application, and so on. So that are APIs. Application performance. Application programming interface. Yeah, APIs. So similarly, Java, when you install a Java JDK, Java provides some basic APIs which you can use to ease your programming journey. Few of them are java.lang, java.util, java.io, java.time, and so on. So if you come to the java.lang, Java core APIs. So this java.lang package contains all the fundamental classes that are essential to the Java programming languages. For example, the string class, the object class, the math class. These are the basic classes which we want to use, and we don't want to implement it from the scratch. So this Java Lang API, this is providing all the implementations of these classes or of these objects directly to us, and we don't need to implement it from the scratch. Similarly, we have java.util, which provides all the utility classes, for example, arrays, array list. Uh, it basically provides all the collection frameworks, hash set, hash map, and then date and time. So directly you don't need to implement anything related to date and time. You can just make an object of date class, and if you print this, it will print what's the current date right now. So it's printing June 10 and whatever the time it is. Then comes the file IO API. So if you want to read or write to external files using the Java program, you can use this class, which is already implemented from the Java SDK whenever you are installing a Java SDK. And using this, you can read or write from the external files. So I have created a sample file that is example.txt held from the learning community. And if you run this program, so it's reading from that particular file held from the learning community. Similarly, we have java.time. So java.time, it's used to get the local time, or there are many functions that are provided through this API or the local date class, which you can use, and you can format in whatever time format you want to get the output, whatever you want. I mean, date you want, time you want, date time you want, anything you can get using this particular Java API. That is java.time. Now coming to the next topic, that is frameworks and libraries. So frameworks, as the name suggests, framework is a predefined structure which is used to make our applications. So you don't have to do the low level designing on how you should build, how you should frame your application. You just need to implement the business logic using these frameworks. For example, many of you might be working on web applications and making backends for them using Node.js, Spring Boot, and Flask. There are many frameworks to make backend APIs. And using these frameworks, you don't need to implement the structure in which your backend should communicate to the database and send the data to the front end or whatever to expose the APIs. You're just using a predefined structure, and you're just implementing the use case or your business logic. And libraries, as it's almost the same to the Java core APIs. These are the libraries. If you want to use a library is a set of pre-written code, and if you want to use it, if you don't want to implement some basic functions which are already written by someone else, you can just directly import them using these libraries, and you can use them in your code. So basic examples of frameworks are Spring Boot and the ORM, that is I don't remember the full form, but it's used to map your uh, code with the table, I mean your database table. And if you come to the library, we have, so we have many types of library. I've just written two or three libraries. That is, one of them is common, Apache Commons Lang. This library have basic task which works on strings, numbers, arrays, and basic data types. And this library can be used to uh, do string manipulations, array manipulations, or validations on various type of strings and arrays like this. So, for example, I have written a string and I'm just using this library which is string.utils. I've written, is this particular string empty or not, and I have passed that particular string. So it will pass true or false based on the whatever strings I've given. Similarly, there are many functions which are already provided through this library, that is reverse. If I want to reverse a particular string, if I want to capitalize all the characters in that particular string, if I want to truncate the string, trim the string, and if I want to find the occurrence of particular set of characters in that particular string, this can be done using this library. And if you want to use a library, you need to import it using a pom.xml file. So this is a library management. This is a built pom.xml. You can take it as a dependency management file where you list down all your dependencies which you want to use in a program. So here I mentioned apache.coms. So when I save this file, it will download all the dependencies which are all the functions or modules which are in this particular dependencies from the central Maven repository. Maven repository is where all the pre-written code already exists or someone has already uploaded. For example, this string function, someone has already written all the code and they have uploaded on the central Maven repository. From there, we can just mention the dependency on our pom.xml file and we can use it in our code. Similarly, we have java.math and java.lang, sorry, Apache Commons Lang and Apache Commons Math. So Apache Commons IO as well. This is used to input and output. This is used to handle the input and output situations in when it comes to files, or if you want to write some data to files or fetch some data from the files. And one more we have, that is SLF4J. This is a logger library. If you want to log, so when it comes to debugging a particular applications, you have to write a lot of logging loggers so that you can find out where it is going wrong. So this library helps you to write log. Uh, this application helps you to log your uh, particular statement so that you can. It's easy for you to debug your applications. So this is overview about what libraries and frameworks are. And lastly, we have build tools. So when it comes to building an application, there are several steps. So you want to validate if everything is fine. You want to compile the code. You want to test the code. Then compilation and testing is done. You package it into a jar file or var file, and you deploy it to the production servers. So these are the these are the standard steps which needs to be followed while deploying an application. So there are two ways: either you can do it manually, or you can have a build tool which helps you to automate all these processes. So we have in Java, we have mainly Maven is used. In Maven, we Maven uses pom.xml file to handle all your dependencies and mainly dependencies. And if you run various Maven commands, you can build, you can compile the code, you can run the test. And but Maven is very restrictive. And there is another build tool which is Gradle, which is getting popular nowadays. And using Gradle, you can also run all these particular steps in a single go. Also, Gradle is fast as compared to Maven because it builds the application in incremental steps, not in a single go. So, that's a very basic overview about what builds tool are. And again, if you want to compare between Maven and Gradle, it depends on your use case. There is no such criteria that you should stop using Maven because it is taking much time. Just because it is taking much time doesn't mean it's not a good build tool. If your application is not dependent on the build time, you can definitely go for Maven. It's a very great tool. That's all from my side, and I'm open for any questions if you have.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, doubts, or queries, you can drop your questions in the chat box right now as we are approaching towards the end of the session. I am also launching a poll. So it is a feedback poll. You can fill it You can just take 1 minute to fill it and you can tell your experience. How did you like the webinar and what would you like to add from your side? If it was helpful or not. At the same time, after filling this, you can also drop your questions in the chat box if you have any. Just please take 1 minute to fill this poll. I have launched it. It would be showing on your screens right now.
There were a lot of topics to be covered, and definitely 1 hour is not enough to cover all these topics since
Yeah,
they are very wide.
yeah, but it
So I
you
just
gave
tried
your
to give a
yeah.
brief overview about everything.
Yeah, as a being very neutral as a third person, I understood each and every topic, what you tried to make everyone understand, not even being someone from your field. So I really understood the topic, and you tried your best to cover it up in 1 hour. So I think it sums up pretty much for the session. If anyone has any doubt, please just let us know and also just fill this feedback poll. I have launched it. Just take 1 minute to fill this poll. Okay, I think someone has a doubt. Why doesn't Java has pointers? Just let me read it out. Yeah, so
Uh,
she's asking that why doesn't Java has pointers whereas C++ does? So why does Java don't have any pointers?
uh, Mainly it is because Java emphasize more on security, and using pointers it makes our application more vulnerable to the attacks or kind of malicious activities.
Yeah, so I feel that maybe the doubt is clear now. Is there any other doubt? Yeah, okay, she says, okay, got it. All right, if there are any other doubts, just let us know. We are waiting for a minute if there is any other doubt, and then we can wrap up the session. Okay, so I don't feel there is any other doubt. Yeah, so thank you so much, Ayush, for such an enlightful and a wonderful session. And I hope everyone understood what you brought to the table. And thank you so much for taking out, 1 hour. And we know that it's a very hectic schedule for everyone, and to take out that time and to brief the session so nicely. So thank you so much. And also to all the other attendees who have joined the webinar for the first time. So we have our website, and I have dropped all the links in the chat box. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. And you can get to know about the upcoming webinars and whatever is favorable for you. Thank you so much, everyone.